I'm Isabella Suarez, an associate reporter for the Association of Foreign Press Correspondents USA. I'm here with Iba Nasa. She's joining me today, and she is the Borough Washington correspondent for Sky News Arabia, as well as a senior correspondent for Asharq News. With over 14 years within the news and media production industry, Iba has covered all sorts of topics, including the United Nations General Assembly twice, the presidential and midterm elections in the US, as well as the G20 in Buenos Aires, and Trump and Kim summit in Singapore. Thank you so much, Iba, for talking to me today.
Thanks a lot. Are we live now?
Yes, we're live.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Isabella. Thanks for having me, and thanks also for the association.
Yes, well, I'm very excited to speak with you. And first question, I just wanted to know a little bit of your background in journalism. Why did you decide to take this career path?
Actually, it came by accident, and now I call myself a journalist by blood. I came from a small village, but I used to like to speak in public at school. But it came by accident. Why I'm saying that? Because I didn't have a role model, a journalist role model in front of me. And also, I wasn't supposed to be here, neither in Washington, nor also continue my studies, go to universities. I'm coming from a small village in South Lebanon, and going to Beirut to study was a little bit hard at that time. I'm talking about 1997, 1998. So I didn't think of it. And when I decided, and when my family, my dad, I'm thankful always for him, he wanted me to continue my study. Actually, I thought the first thing I thought of it is studying psychology, because I like people, I like to understand people, and I like to help people. Then, when you are in high school, you start looking what are the opportunities. Are you able to find work after that? I'm coming, not a first world country, Lebanon, and especially now. But at that time, so I didn't have the chance to continue psychology because I didn't have a plan to do that. Also, you listen to your family, to the people. Everyone was telling me the best thing to do is to go and, be a teacher, because I had to come back and live in my village. And that's why I chose to study French literature. And the first year when I entered to college, I didn't like it. I didn't pass the first year. And when I tried for the second year, I found myself, no. I told myself, no, I cannot continue. I want to stop that. I applied for the Faculty of Information without telling anybody. And I am here now.
Yeah, that's so amazing. So you first wanted to do psychology, then you did a little bit of French literature, you didn't like it, and then you step into journalism, which is incredible because you were in this career for so long, and you definitely went through so many different things. So before you became a Washington correspondent, you had many roles. I wanted to ask you, what were some of the highlights before your move to the US?
I have been a reporter in Lebanon, but for written journalism. I have been a reporter. I worked for a Future newspaper. I covered the assassination of the former Prime Minister, Rafik Hariri, in Lebanon. And I consider this was the most important thing I covered in Lebanon because, it changed everything in Lebanon. Since then, it's affecting the current situation and what's happening now. So this was something, when you come from other countries to a specific place and you don't have that much emotions, but when you cover something that affects you, it's different, and it is hard to be and stay objective all the time and subdue your emotions. So it was one of the, these moments in your life that changed you forever. I liked it. I'm not saying I liked what happened, but at that moment I realized that I chose the right path for my life. This is what I wanted, telling the truth, managing my emotions at the right moments, and telling people what they have to know, telling the truth. It is really hard. These are really hard moments. Now, this is in Lebanon. And in Lebanon, we had many hard times. We had also 2006 war. We had also the challenges inside 2007 and other things that happened before leaving Lebanon in 2010. Actually, my first place, the first country I went to after 2000, after leaving Lebanon was Saudi Arabia. I was exposed to many experiences outside Lebanon, first in Saudi Arabia, then Qatar, then UAE, and then I came here. For sure, when you have this opportunity, when you have that chance to work in many countries, you get a big experience. And also what helped me a lot, working behind the scenes. I was first a producer, then a senior producer. I'm talking about my career outside Lebanon. And then editor-in-chief. Here I have to highlight something. I didn't choose all the time what I wanted here, because I was driven by my financial situation, Isabella. It was hard. I have to choose, for example, a job offer that gives me a better salary, because I had some financial challenges at home. So this is how started. But actually, this was very beneficial to me, because working behind the scene shaped my personality and my career. When you are about to build a rundown for an international news program, for a news bulletin even, you have to look at every single thing happening in the world. You have to look if there's natural disasters, if there's something happening in the US, in Europe, in China, in Africa, everywhere. Your headline today would be different than your headline tomorrow. So this is the path that built my career till now. Then when I moved to Sky News Arabia, I chose, now I told myself, now I want to do what I like. I want to be on camera. I want to be a reporter, because I tried it before and I liked it. So I want to be on camera again. I want to be a reporter. Tell my story. Don't go on air and read and interview people only. No, engage with people. I feel, something I like, and I feel I am myself when I am on air. So I came to Sky News Arabia. I worked on assignment desk, and then in the newsroom. I had the chance to go to Turkey to cover. I was working on a documentary, and then I covered an explosion while I was there, and also I covered a Gulf summit. And then I came here to cover the elections in 2016, and in 2017 I moved here. And also, one more thing I want to add, in Sky News Arabia also, I covered the solar impulse. The solar impulse that I told you, when we were chatting, I told you about that. This was one of the things that are not political that I covered and I like. The solar impulse, the plane that toured the world. Yes.
Oh, that's so amazing, because you were saying that you covered in various countries like Qatar, Turkey, and so many others. And that is just incredible, because you also said that you had this experience behind the scenes and that shaped you as a reporter, which I definitely do think that is so helpful, because if you know how to produce, if you know how to edit, you are able to, even though this is not like your first choice of like what you wanted to do, it was something that probably helped you build the stories that you wanted to tell and the way you should tell it. So I definitely do think that was just an amazing career path, I think, for you, and the way that you found out that you wanted to be a reporter. But I want to now talk about your experience here in actually in Washington. Recently, in your position as Borough Washington correspondent, you have been covering a lot of topics, especially politics. And I wanted to know, how was that process like last year's election? What were some of the major issues that you covered that were very interesting for the audience that you were covering for?
Now, as you said, I covered mainly politics, but you know, when the Black Lives Matters protests erupted last year, I found that everybody in the world were watching what's happening here. So since May, last May, I'm not talking about May 2021, May 2020, you can feel that people like the stories that affect or are similar to their stories. So when I was covering these things, I really learned a lot about USA. And I consider myself lucky for coming in 2016, in 2017, because, you know, I came and the atmosphere wasn't the natural atmosphere that I used to hear about when I was abroad. I feel that I saw America the way it is, you know. We are seeing what's happening now. They are a lot of the people are divided in their opinions regarding major things, but you have this democratic system that always win and prevail. So we have what happened in January. I learned a lot about that. We usually, I used to look at the United States as the place that affects everything happening outside, but you know, it affects not only by the decision taking by the elite or by Washington, the institution inside Washington. Also, the image here affects everywhere. You know, when we were looking at the protests and what the people were saying, and then what happened in the election, and what happened in January, the questions that we were hearing from the people abroad were really stunning. They are asking why this is happening here, why this could happen, and then you find yourself, you have to learn more, you have to go back in history, you have to read about this, and this is something you find, it is not something usual that you cover. You don't, it is not a natural disaster, it is not an election, you go and these are the candidates, this is the system, these are the observers. No, it is something different. It's about daily lives here, it's about what people believes in. Also, you know, when Trump got COVID, really, everybody everywhere was waiting, and they had concern what's going to happen to the president of the United States, the greatest country on the world. So it is not easy to just look at it from like a regular journalism. For sure, you have the same principle for journalism everywhere, but in the United States, and since I came from not a first world country, as I said in the beginning, you feel you are responsible to tell the story in a way to educate the people about the place. So, for example, if the protests are happening here, they are allowed to protest, you know. So if they are, for example, for sure, if there are mistakes, you have also to let them understand why they are these mistakes. For example, they don't many people in the world don't understand, you have Washington and you have the states and you have the governors. This is usually something that you don't think about it when you are abroad. When you are abroad as a Lebanese, you have to look what the State Department is saying now, what the White House is saying now. Then after 4 years, also you look at the decisions coming out from these departments, and you look also, are these decisions driven by domestic politics, for example? This is different. This is a learning process, you know. That's why you feel you are growing here when you cover the major events here. So I consider this is a great experience for sure. At some point, you feel that you are repeating yourself when you are covering foreign policy, especially. But America, you know, it's a treasure. Always you have something new. Always you will learn something new. You know, even words like filibuster, let's say now, okay? I have been here since 2017. Always you have something new to understand and to learn about, and to let the people abroad know about it.
Yeah, and it's such an important task too, as a journalist and as a correspondent, for you to share these different things that you're learning every day. You're covering something new is happening in the US, and then explaining that in a way that is comprehensive for each country, because it's a totally different like political system that they have in the US. So I think this is really, really interesting to hear like your perspective about covering, you know, in the US compared to other countries that you've covered before. I want to actually also talk about, you know, different topics that you've done before. So one of them was that you covered the United Nations General Assembly twice. Can you talk a little bit about that experience, how it was for you?
Yes, actually, I wanted to correct you when I asked at the beginning, are we live or not? So I covered it 3 times, 2017, 18, 19, maybe in the chat I said 2 times. So it is different. Why? You know, when you go to the United Nations as a reporter, you don't focus on your country or what's related only to the area, to the viewers, for example, of my channel. No, you are exposed to everybody. You can see everybody, and what's really meaningful, everybody is coming and has his. You look at these leaders. We used to have our live shots. I don't know if you are familiar with the area there. We used to have our live shots in an area called Press Island. So it's in front of the building. And there you can see everybody's passing by, every leader, every delegation. These people have their own dreams, they have their own challenges, have their own problems, and also have their own aspirations. And every delegation, everyone, even the press delegations, you look at them and everybody thinks all the assembly is about them, is about this country, is about, you know, it is really interesting how the people look at this. And then you find yourself covering just main topics. It is almost repeating things. You know, you have to cover the main decisions, what the United States, now China, Russia, the Europeans, all these countries are saying, and you neglect a lot of things. And this is sad at some point, but this is how the world is operating, you know. So this also, and if you go there at this time in September, from I think September 14, we go until September 29, it's another learning experience about New York and about the people abroad, you know.
No, absolutely. I imagine that it must be very different from each time that you're going to cover this. So I think it's really cool to hear a little bit about your story and perspective. Before we finish this interview, I just wanted to ask you, or actually ask you to share a word of advice for other journalists in the world who are probably looking to become foreign correspondents someday, maybe the US or some other country. But what would you say is the most important thing for them to know before moving into a position like you are?
Before moving or after moving, you have to be a lifetime student in this career. You are not big enough to anything happening. You don't have to take yourself seriously that much. You have to take every single subject seriously. You have to take life seriously. But dare to dream. You can cover everything you want. Listen to what the people are saying in the streets. But the most important thing now. We have social media. It's easy to gain followers and to think that we are on the top of our career. We are not. We are as good as the last story. We are as good as the last report we do. So dare to dream, but also don't take yourself seriously. And by this, I mean you're not big enough to anything else.
Well, thank you so much, Iba, for your time. I really, really enjoyed talking to you about your career path, so many incredible moments that you were able to experience and share with the world. And thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.